So, why is the Federal Reserve fighting the blue-collar paycheck boom? And that's the subject of the riff. Now, before we get to Fed head Jay Powell's gobbledygook and why President Trump is right and Powell's wrong about interest rates, first up, let's look at some good news. In her Pod Force One podcast, ace New York Post columnist Miranda Devine interviewed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who spoke about the great success blue-collar working folks are having with higher wages in just the first few months of President Trump's administration. Take a listen to this.
Blue-collar wage growth, the only other time it's been this high, wait for it, was during President Trump's first term. So we've seen real wages for hourly workers, non-supervisory workers, rise almost 2% in the first 5 months.
Why is that?
No president has done that before.
And why is that?
It's the president's emphasis on manufacturing. Biden opened the border and it was flooded. And that for working Americans, that's a disaster because it's pressure on their wages.
So, Bessent right on target. Part of the jump in real wages is the decline of the inflation rate, where the CPI has actually eased down to only 1.4% annually since January. Jay Powell won't talk about that, but he should, because it boosts take-home pay. Now, during the Biden years, as Jay Powell collaborated with big government socialism, prices rose over 20%, while real wages fell by roughly 4%. It was the worst inflation in 40 years. Another important point is the seeming end to illegal alien border crossings. Scott Bessent refers to this. Border Patrol agents did not release any illegal migrants into the U.S. in the month of May, a decrease from more than 60,000 released into the U.S. the year before. Joe Biden let in about 15 million. Donald Trump has let in 0. Now, Border Patrol agents caught 8,725 illegals attempting to cross the southern border, but none of them were released into the country. That is a 93% decrease from May 2024. The Bidens, of course, released everybody into the U.S. rather than put them into an ICE bed or a hotel, and that meant that their hearings could last up to 9 years or more, that is, if it ever happened at all. So, policies matter and elections matter. And coming back to higher paychecks for working folks, according to the Center for Immigration Studies, nearly 1 million illegal immigrants have self-deported under Trump. That's right. And that is leading to higher wages. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has implemented a self-deport registration program, rebranding the notorious CBP-1 app, which the Bidens used to funnel hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants into the country, as CBP Home now, which illegals can use to notify the U.S. government of their intent to deport. Plus, there's a financial incentive, a stipend of about $1,000. So, even the Washington Post claimed 1 million foreign-born workers have exited the workforce since March. Actually, the data show since January, 600,000 foreign-born workers have dropped, while native-born have jumped by 1 million. Now, is that a sign of a weaker labor market? No, because as Scott Bessent pointed out, average hourly wages have accelerated, earnings continue to beat inflation, and a boost to workers' spending power. In other words, with fewer illegal immigrants, businesses are raising wages to attract workers here at home. Now, this is similar, by the way, to President Eisenhower's deportation roundup way back in 1954. That was driven about 10-1 by self-deportations. Hat tip to Andrew Arthur at the Center for Immigration Studies. So working folks' take-home paychecks are rising, and inflation is falling. Well, why isn't that win-win for the American economy? Well, go ask Jay Powell, who doesn't seem to understand any of this. Actually, before we ask Powell, let's ask President Trump first. Here's what he had to say today.
I mean, if you look at him, every time I did this, I was right 100%. He was wrong.
Maybe I should go to the Fed. Am I allowed to appoint myself, Doug? I don't even think he's that political. I think he hates me, but that's okay. You know, he should. He should. I call him every name in the book, trying to get him to do something. I've been so nice to him, fellas, you wouldn't believe. Let's have dinner. Too late? I'd call him too late. Come on, too late. Let's have dinner. I do it every way in the book. I'm nasty. I'm nice. Nothing works.
Well, heck, I'm available for dinner, Mr. President, any old time. Meanwhile, Jay Powell and his Fed crowd are still predicting higher inflation and now slower growth, and they are stubbornly avoiding interest rate cuts. But they never really tell us why, and it all looks to be wrong. The Federal Reserve has become the most opaque and least transparent government agency in Washington, D.C. That they wield so much power over the economy makes this even worse. Now, change is on the way. Yes, Mr. Trump will appoint a new Fed chair in May of next year. Meanwhile, all of this reminds the great Winston Churchill's description of the old Soviet Russia. It is a riddle wrapped in a mystery inside an enigma. And that's the riff.